Welcome back, Focus Learners. Today on The Explainer, we're diving into something absolutely wild. We're looking at how a massive economic problem in the sky sparked literally one of the most rapid technological revolutions in modern military history. We are talking about interceptor drones, a completely new class of weapons that has just totally flipped the math of aerial defense on its head. But to really grasp why these interceptor drones even exist, we've got to start with a terrifying number. $3 million. That right there is the estimated cost of just one single US-made Patriot missile interceptor. And look, it's an incredible piece of tech, right? It can take out hypersonic threats. But it becomes a huge liability when the actual threat you're facing changes entirely. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the instant aha moment. On one hand, you've got this $3 million Patriot missile. But on the other hand, you have an Iranian-designed Shahed strike drone, which is mass-produced for maybe $35,000. I mean, you don't need a math degree to see the problem here. Using a $3 million missile to shoot down a $35,000 drone is just completely unsustainable. You're going to run out of money way before your enemy runs out of drones. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the asymmetric math problem, move into the birth of the interceptor drone, check out the modern arsenal, dive into the tactics in AI, and finally, look at how this whole thing is causing a massive global geopolitical shift. Section 1. The asymmetric math problem, a war of attrition. Traditional air defense systems were suddenly just being economically crushed by cheap mass production. Just look at the visual scale of these attacks on the map here. All those complex, overlapping orange and red lines, those represent actual waves of Shahed kamikaze drones and missiles. By mid-2025, these things were arriving in record-breaking swarms. They were literally exhausting traditional missile-based defenses way faster than Western allies could even hope to resupply them. The strategy was super clear. Overload the radars and completely drain those really expensive missile stockpiles. Which brings us to this staggering number, 85 to 1. That is the actual cost-exchange ratio Ukraine faced every single time they used a Patriot to swat down a Shahed. Look, when your adversary has an economy that completely dwarfs yours, you simply cannot outspend them 85 to 1. No way. You have to outthink them. The defenders desperately needed a solution that was as cheap and scalable as the threat itself. Section 2. Birth of the Interceptor. The MacGyver moment. What started out of pure, literal military desperation ended up birthing a brand new class of weapons. And the speed of this evolution, it's just astonishing. Back in October 2022, we saw this ultimate MacGyver moment. A Ukrainian soldier actually used a cheap commercial DJI Mavic quadcopter to physically ram a Russian drone right out of the sky. And from that one improvised collision, the whole industry just exploded. By early 2024, you had purpose-built interceptors like the Bagnet autonomously hunting down drones. Fast forward to 2025, and the defense sector cranked out 100,000 of these things. Now, going into 2026, we're seeing tests of hybrid models that can fly over 500 kilometers per hour. It's absolutely crazy. Section 3. The modern interceptor arsenal. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how far we've moved beyond those simple quadcopters just hovering over a trench. These machines are incredibly specialized now. Look at the Alatir P4P right there at the top. It uses 4 electric motors plus actual rocket thrust to hit speeds over 500 kilometers per hour. That's built specifically to catch jet-powered kamikaze drones. Then you've got the Zhvedun, which is a fixed-wing model built to cover entire cities with a 70-kilometer range. And the Odin Winhit, it's basically a quadcopter bullet hybrid that hits 300 kilometers per hour for those rapid, short-range defensive sprints. They're literally designing specific drone architectures for very specific aerial threats. And if you check out the sleek, aerodynamic shape of these fixed-wing designs, you'll see these longer-range interceptors operate almost like loitering munitions. Like, imagine a wave of Shaheds flying in from the Black Sea toward a coastal city like Odessa. These fixed-wing interceptors can actually fly around for hours, just waiting up in the sky to hunt down incoming threats before they ever even reach civilian airspace. Now contrast this. On the left, you've got your basic standard FPV drone setup, goggles, a battery, a controller. But on the right, that is the anatomy of a purpose-built interceptor. Look at the reinforced frame, the specialized flight controllers, the highly tuned camera setup. This exact engineering is how a machine that costs maybe $1,000 to $5,000 can pull off an average success rate of over 60% against targets that cost way more. It has fundamentally bent the economics of air defense right back in the defender's favor. Section 4. tactics, nets, and AI. Okay, but having the hardware is honestly only half the battle. Seriously, ask yourself, how do you actually hit a drone that's flying at 200 miles per hour? It's like trying to hit a bullet with another bullet, except you're doing it with a remote control while wearing video goggles. The physical and technological kill chain you need to pull this off is just mind-blowing. So it really breaks down into these 4 steps. First up, early detection using radar and acoustic spotters, because honestly, without good radar, you're just flying blind. Second is the rapid launch of the interceptor drone itself. Third, and this is the real secret sauce, AI terminal guidance takes over for the final approach. And fourth, the actual kill. That could be detonating a fragmentation charge, physically ramming the target, or, and this is wild, units like the Pomsta Brigade have pioneered dropping physical nets midair in dense forests to just tangle up the enemy drone's rotors. To actually make that terminal guidance work at those crazy high speeds, they use a concept called human on the loop. Now, this is absolutely crucial to understand. If a human operator has to stay in the loop to make that final split-second steering adjustment to hit a fast-moving shawhead, well, human reaction time is just too slow. So instead, the AI handles the high-speed autonomous attack, while the human sits on the loop to just authorize, monitor, or cancel the strike. When you're flying this fast, speed is survival. And this brilliantly illustrates what it looks like in practice. You've got a fast, agile interceptor drone diving onto a larger, much slower aircraft type reconnaissance UAV, something like a Russian Zala or Orlan. Taking out these eyes in the sky is absolutely vital. Why? Because the enemy uses those recon drones to target their artillery and ballistic missiles. So by blinding the enemy and intercepting these drones, you are literally saving countless lives down on the ground. And, the tactics just keep getting more and more ingenious. To bump up their range and altitude, Ukrainian forces are actually converting civilian A-32 ultralight planes into airborne motherships. They're mounting up to 6 interceptor drones right under the wings to launch them mid-air. They're even launching these interceptors from uncrewed robotic boats, USVs, out at sea just to destroy the threats before they ever reach the coastline. It's this incredible sea-air and air-air integration. Section 5. A global geopolitical shift. So this localized battlefield innovation, it's caught the attention of the entire world. Global superpowers are now desperately trying to catch up. I mean, just look at the sheer scale of this defense tech renaissance. In 2025, Ukraine pumped out 100,000 interceptor drones. And the head of their defense technology incubator recently said they have the capacity to produce more than 2,000 interceptors a day. Let that sink in. 2,000 a day. And they're saying they can scale up even further for export. So why is export suddenly on the table? Well, the reality is pretty stark. While these interceptor drones were being perfected over in Eastern Europe, Middle Eastern nations reportedly burned through over 800 incredibly expensive Patriot missiles in just 3 days, trying to shoot down Iranian Shahads. The US and Gulf states are literally depleting their elite missile stockpiles to fight the exact same cheap drones that Ukraine has figured out how to destroy for a few $1,000. So the crucial point is exactly what Oleg Katkov points out here. Ukraine isn't just saying, hey, buy our cheap drone hardware. I mean, anyone can build a drone. They're offering to export the complete combat-tested system. We're talking the networked radars, the AI guidance, and maybe most importantly, the actual human expertise and training required to make the whole thing work. As he perfectly puts it, they're offering to sell the fully built house, not just the bricks. I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. We have officially entered an era where a $1,000 piece of plastic, carbon fiber, and open source code can completely neutralize a multi-million-dollar technological marvel. If the cost of defense is suddenly thousands of times cheaper than the cost of a traditional offense, how does that permanently alter the future of global warfare? It is a truly fascinating shift in military economics. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next one.